All right, guys. I was going to read some stuff. Let's see. I want law and order and justice to prevail. Police lied and hide the damaging truth. I am a witness of police misconduct, not allowed to report it. Many unanswered complaints. Many denied public records. You have a God-given right to speak. Cops say you're interfering if you're speaking. That's Cohen versus California, Duran versus City of Douglas, Houston versus Hill, and many others. Officers threaten tickets for jaywalking. Miller versus Kansas. Rights can't be made a crime. Right? I have tons of those. Right? Sherman versus United States. 356 U.S. 369 1958. Entrapment. Have the video where the officer gets all nicey nice, but says, "Oh, could you please back up?" And then they back me up some more, and he's like, "Now you're in the road, and you have to cross." And then when I cross the road, the other officer conspired with him to write me a jaywalking ticket where he had entrapped me by telling me to back up into the road. That's in the federal case. Violation of oath of office is Cooper versus Aaron, 358. Murdoch versus Officer and Hawthorne versus Hayes also. Come to the insistence of unlawfully arrested persons. If there's no crime, no victim, they're not supposed to arrest people. Even a misdemeanor committed in the presence of the officer is not grounds enough for them to arrest you. They're depriving you of your right, your liberty. That's what it means when I'm going to detain you in handcuffs. No, that's not a detainment. That's an arrest. You've taken away and deprived me of my liberty, right? And the only time they can do that is, guess what? Right? When you've committed a crime, an actual crime with a flesh and blood victim. The state can't be the victim. All right? And this brings to the point that now I have paid the racketeering ticket to the state where I defended my rights in court and was overruled under the false contract. The contract is enforced, your license contract, which is what that is. So yeah, I recorded at DMV earlier this year, right, where they were threatening to suspend my license and have me arrested because I signed for the state, the new STAR license, right? And I put UCC 1-308, all rights reserved. And they were going to suspend my license because I did that, taking all of my rights away. And they are not law enforcement. DMV is a corporate entity that's violating your rights. They doing this to everybody. You cannot add any UCC codes with your signature while signing the license contract. They will 100% refuse it, suspend your license, and send armed men who are unaccountable, pirates ashore, to kidnap you, right? Involuntary servitude, slavery, right? This is the contract we're working under, right? So I have this all on camera. DMV refusing that and stating that you cannot add anything to the signature to protect your rights. So they are practicing law, violating state and federal statutes, forcing everyone to sign without protecting their rights. The legal implications are actually what I'm going to bring forth here. By piracy ashore, I mean without due process, without a warrant, you are unlawfully using emergency lights to pull people over, to plunder their pockets and take money. This is peonage or whatever it's called, involuntary servitude. I'm getting to that. It's all written in here. So this is how you are enforcing it, is by threats to arrest people, pirates ashore without due process, fraud, 3 felonies for every traffic stop without a crime. For a crime to exist, an injured party must exist. I have never been stopped for a crime, ever. So please remit all funds paid in servitude to this null and void contract, the state driver's license, forced under threat of arrest into signing contract without UCC protection 1-308, all rights reserved. By doing that, the contract is forced under threat of arrest. They will come and arrest me if I did not sign that contract without any protections. So that's coerced by a corporation into allowing them to violate my rights. Because if I don't have this contract, they're going to throw me in jail, right? And tow my vehicle and take it as plunder, right? So they're forcing you under Title 18, USC 1581-1595, transportation or holding anyone of the people for financial gain under fraudulent authority or coercion is human trafficking. Forcing someone through a criminal system without due process is involuntary servitude, which is exactly what they did on camera, in court, over the $152 taillight out ticket, right? Which was retaliation for recording police. I recorded him 8 minutes before, right? More to get through. Here we go. All pirates ashore are registered Dun & Bradstreet foreign agents under maritime law. Work for a corporation, use emergency lights to overtake vessels, use statutes and codes to plunder, we the people, armed and unaccountable, right? Because they will not fill FOIA requests for me, right? Right? That's what it is. Do you know the court system is ADR? Administrative law courts, which is what all of them are except for the Supreme Court. Right? Joe Biden, 1990, Judicial Improvement Act, signed into law, made them all administrative law courts, and they feel that they don't have to uphold the Constitution because they're administrative law and they're a fiction operating fraudulently Okay? Because corporations can only work with corporations, and find corporations, you have to be dead. That's what I shouted. You've killed my straw man, to be dramatic and to attract attention to this fact that the whole thing is fraud. You've killed my straw man. What they actually did, right? In order to bring him through the court, he has to enter through the bar, and then he drowns in the water of court. And they plunder his estate, which is my estate. Right? They've killed and murdered him on the floor of the court. And that's exactly what I said, and they ignored that. No, all the clerks, I forewarned them in writing not to do this. Writ of prohibition, ignored. Dismiss this fraudulent, unlawful use of admiralty law and state statutes when there's no crime. Even the judge said it, no crime. It's not a crime. Well, then you have no authority. Have no authority until I committed a crime. Right? So the whole thing's fraudulent. That's what I'm saying. Contract is null and void, and has been since they threatened me with an arrest for trying to secure my rights. Rights that they say an oath to, uphold my rights. But instead, they're plundering and taking money out of my pocket. Right? They have no right. There's no jurisdiction. All right. Getting off track. They are registered Dun & Bradstreet foreign agents under maritime law. Work for a corporation. Use emergency lights to overtake vessels. Use statutes and codes to plunder we the people, armed and unaccountable. Traffic tickets violate the Fourth Amendment. No victim, no damaged property, no emergency. Violation of our Fourth Amendment rights. You're traveling in your Fourth Amendment peace, and you haven't hurt nobody. It's unreasonable to be traffic stopped. Right? In my opinion, it's completely unreasonable. There's no warrant, no due process. You didn't hurt anybody. Right? That's patrolling without purpose. Stay at the police station until you're called. Right? We don't need you. Right? Towns have their own police force to go out and write tickets for profit. Profit of we the people who put them there, and then they're supposed to uphold our rights. They're not upholding our rights. They're plundering our pockets. The whole thing is a sham. Driver's license is a sham. The way the state forces you to enter the contract is a sham. Other states will recognize if you write 1-308 with your signature as entering the contract and reserving your rights. You're perfectly allowed to do that. They violated contract law, DMV, all on camera. Oh no, you can't do that, Mr. Cantrell. Right, well, the cops want to beat me up and arrest me. I'd rather have my rights reserved on my license, but you won't let me do that. Right? You've coerced me under threat of arrest to sign a license contract without any rights protection. And it's all on camera. The whole thing's null and void. These cops stop me or do anything to me, and this entire contract is null and void. All right? The whole contract is bull stuff. Can't do this stuff. None of it is right. It's all operating under fraud. We are not our all caps name. That's not who we are. Right? They have $1 million in a bank account under your name. You look at the back of your Social Security card. There's a letter and a bunch of numbers. That's the bank account. When you go to the car dealership and get a loan, what's really happening is they are taking the money out of your account and giving it to you and making you pay it back. Right? The vehicle's already bought and paid for. The dealership gives you nothing. They loan you nothing. They loan you your own money out of your straw man account. Right? That's really what's happening. Your home loan's the same way. Right? So they murder your straw man when they drag him into court. Once he crosses the bar, he's dead, considered lost at sea. Right? But there's no death certificate, yet they're plundering your estate. Right? That's exactly what's happening. Crazy, right? You didn't think things worked that way, huh? So, if the court who judges and levies fines for codes and statutes when no crime has been committed are plundering we the people for corporate profit, to all of it goes to the state general funds, right? The court is a pirate vessel, for-profit corporation. Judges get retirement from the state funds, profit from the fines they impose. How is any of this lawful? It isn't. The whole thing is fraud. It's piracy, overtaken by fault light, the emergency lights. Overtaken to plunder a distressed vessel under maritime admiralty law. That's what a traffic stop really is. Warrantless arrest. Doesn't matter how long it is. If it's 1 minute that you're deprived of your right to travel, he's deprived you of a right and committed another crime. Right? The crimes are just piling up here. There's 3 felonies and there's multiple rights violation crimes. Right? Try saying no like I have to their demand for ID. I didn't hurt anybody. There's no victim back there. I don't need to give you shit. Can I be on my way? Oh, try saying that. See what happens. Right? I know exactly what's going to happen when Mr. Day says, I'm not going to ask again, because that's when he grabbed me up and threw me in handcuffs for no crime, for violating a statute, right? Which is a misdemeanor. Right? Misdemeanor, witnessed by the officer, doesn't give him the right to put me in handcuffs for defending my rights. Defending my rights. I don't get to give you shit. Who's the victim? Right? This is all stuff that's been entered in court, the whole 9 yards, federal court, federal court, definitely violated your rights and retaliated against you. Has anything been done about it? Nope. Therefore, the courts, everyone from Janet Mills to Shana Bellows, the Secretary of State, because I've sent her a bunch of stuff, and she told me she's not responsible for what the Brunswick police do, and she doesn't want to have any part of that. Send her the entire stuff, send her the cancel ticket, the whole 9 yards, and yet here I am paying $152 for it, right? Right? For a light bulb, where the officer threatened me with a violent arrest. He's going to smash my window out if I didn't give my Fourth Amendment secured papers up. Nazi Germany, here we are. Oh no, that wouldn't happen in this town. Well, happened in 2023, too, over a headlight out. Right? Threatened with a violent arrest 3 times over a headlight out, when they could have just clicked their mic and told me, hey, dummy, you got a headlight out. I'd have fled home and fixed it right away. Right? Got a light bulb right in my glove box. Could I get out and fix it? Nope. Nope, you're getting this racketeering ticket. You can't fix your headlight. We're going to stuff this down your throat. You just filmed another officer on Pleasant Street. I thought when they said headlight out over there on Pleasant Street, they were talking about the vehicle I was recording. But no, they were talking about me and conspiring with each other to come and write me a racketeering ticket, which is exactly what they both did, right? Both of them are on camera coming, telling me, oh, check your tires. They're getting close. You know, they're conspiring together to violate my rights, right? Therefore, you're all pirates. And so, all policy enforcement officers sworn under oath to uphold our rights, but that's not what the police do, is it? They overtake and plunder, steal your vessel when they should help you. Keyword, help, right? It's a fault light, right? They're using emergency lights with the intent to plunder you. Nobody called them and said, oh my God, I was so hurt by his right hand brake light being out. I almost didn't see the other two lights on the back of it. Right? Nobody called them and said, write him that ticket. Right? It was with malicious, felonious intent to come and harm me and take plunder from my pockets, like he's done to my family. Right? Overtaken by pirates. Overtaken, plunder. Stealing your vessel when they should help you. You know, it could be said a million times more, couldn't it? Right? How much force should an officer use for verbal defense of your Fourth Amendment rights? What's the Graham factors? Graham versus Connor is the case law where they discuss, how much force is needed to be applied to, a 60-year-old handicapped man with a camera. Right? How much force was needed? What gives the authority to the courts? Right? They're all bound by their oath and affirmation to the U.S. Constitution, where if they don't uphold our rights, say by taking money out of our pockets when we've committed no crime, right? The only one who committed crimes was the officer. Did they arrest Officer Day for committing 4 felonies in one traffic stop over a light bulb and threatening violent arrest? I'm not going to ask again. Well, are you going to punish me? That's what I asked him. And yes, that was his intent, to punish me. It was intent. That was the point in saying it that way. Are you going to punish me? Right? With fines and stuff like that. Yes, he was. And give him the ID, or he's going to smash the window out and arrest me, like he's done before, right? Right? His next move is putting the cuffs on you. He doesn't wait to hear your response or talk to you or defend your rights or say what your rights are in any situation like that. It's a misdemeanor. Do I have to go in handcuffs for that? Or can I defend my right to have my secured papers? I was on foot. Common law applies when you're on foot. That's why I get out to record. Right? Get out and protest. On foot. Right? Or my mobility device. That's why I have a scooter. Because I can hardly walk. Right? Been handicapped my entire life. And didn't go and get handicap plates. Because, hey, I can walk. It's a flat surface. Right? Could have had handicap plates my entire life. Right? Now I'm getting older. I'm in a lot of pain. What gives them authority? When does an officer have authority over you? Just because you're on foot? You're on foot. Cop cited. Start recording. I invoke my First Amendment rights. I am recording because I protest police. Turner versus Driver. Your right to record your own traffic stop. Right? Cop approaches, states infraction, or asks questions. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. You have to invoke your Fifth Amendment right. You can't just remain silent. Okay? Because they'll take that as consent. Silence equals consent. So you invoke your Fifth Amendment rights. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. I'm not answering any questions. Right? Because it's your right. And you're not consenting to any searches or seizures. And guess what? Traffic stop is a temporary seizure, which is actually an arrest. They are arresting you. Calls for backup for recording. One I just posted. Cop calls for backup for recording. Police extend the traffic stop. Rodriguez versus Nebraska. Right? Can't extend the traffic stop over 20 minutes for a normal thing, a little ticket, whatever. If you're holding it for more than 20 minutes, it's unreasonable under the Fourth Amendment, and you're violating it. It's pretty simple. Can't get it done in 20 minutes. You stop them for some bogus little light bulb or some shit, and you can't get the dog there quick enough. Too bad. Let them go. Right? You don't violate their rights. Right? Jacob and Sierra. And then when he gets his camera out to record when they're fondling his girlfriend on, by a male officer, then he gets his face smashed into the ground. Right? We all know Jacob's past and all that stuff. So what? He got out his camera to protect the rights of someone else. Right? And he got his face smashed into the ground and bloodied. How is any of that right? Right? The cops said on the radio, they're fighting with us. I wasn't fighting with you. You went over and assaulted a guy for putting his camera on somebody who was hurting someone else. That's sexual assault right on his, right? That's why he got it out. They're manhandling her. Right? Who wouldn't? Right? And then he gets tackled from behind by a certain officer I know so well. All right. Anyway. Cop moves you back. Simon Glick versus Boston Police. I use this as binding precedent because they tried to dismiss him every step of the way, just like me. Fought with him over it. He was arrested for like 3 hours. I was a little less time, which is $10,080, $82 a minute for false arrest. For each minute you're in custody, right? That's how much you're supposed to get paid. $1,082 a minute, right? Anyway, Simon Glick versus Boston Police, 2007. Sharp versus Baltimore Police, another good one. If you show you're unarmed, they can't touch you. Terry versus Ohio is one of the bad ones where they can, Pennsylvania versus Mims, which gives them permission to get you out of the car. It doesn't give them permission to identify the passengers, though. And the passengers can leave if they want. You don't own people because you've traffic stopped the driver. Right? Those other people don't owe you nothing. Right? You can look that one up. Training of a Tyrant video on YouTube, behind the theater over there. They said something derogatory about the vehicle, those dirty creeps or whatever, and they went after him and stopped him and got the guy out and said he wasn't wearing a seatbelt in the back seat and wanted to write him a racketeering ticket. And he said, no, you can't do that. I'm not giving you ID. So they arrested him for failure to ID. Ridiculous. I'm sure he got paid over that. Then there's the post office one, Northeast Audits, I believe. Trespass from the post office. That's what makes the post office, they know. You can go in there recording, they're all good. They never bothered me. I got an hour interview with several people. I think it's on the Bryce Cantrell YouTube, in the post office, and we have a massive discussion with one lady, and I go pretty deep. Let's see. God-given right, Miller versus Kansas, entrapment. And we covered most of this stuff. And what kind of an officer refuses to identify? Right? I begged and pleaded with Chief Scott Stewart to please just have your guys identify and shine one on for the department and show what kind of people you really are and everything that's really going on, you know. Hey, I'm Charles Thompson of the Brunswick Police Department. Charles always did a good job identifying for the camera. If I didn't say it, he said it. You know what I'm saying? He always recognized you have a right to record. I'm not going to yell at you. Perfect. You know, you were respectful. I knew, you know, when people had a warrant, you had to arrest them. That happened at the gazebo and over at the park and ride. Twice I recorded when he had arrested like homeless people for warrants, and, you know, pretty tough on them guys, but, you know, they're trying to clean the town up too, and I understand that, but people got to be somewhere. There, I got plenty of pictures here. Here's the Jacob Tillman before and after, right? And there's his friend Sierra, and that's Patrick Scott, and you know, and that's why he got out his phone and was recording, right? His phone goes skittering off into the distance as his face gets smashed into the ground. Why was that done? He was sitting and being compliant on the curb and got his phone out to record. He was assaulted for exercising his rights to protect the rights of someone else, right? Doesn't matter who he is and what his reputation is. It's wrong. The cops destroyed their entire case, right? All fruit of the poisonous tree, right? When they could have, you know, they admitted knowing where the product came from and what hotel and what room, right? Known. You can go bust them, right? Busted the user 20 minutes after they left. Huh. Weird. Don't tread on me, Bryce T. Accountability now, Brunswick, Maine. Road pirates all around. chasing down this camera clown. I can't run away. That's right. There's my breathalyzer tests, zeros. There's me getting in the truck to leave. I had that video as one of the first ones on YouTube. I posted. You can see clearly that both of my brake lights and tag lights are lit. That was 2 minutes before I stopped for a supposed tag light out. That wasn't out. That Lieutenant Lynn, about 3 hours later, took pictures of it, and everything's all working. There's my breathalyzer. Test result right there. Bum, bum, bum. Huh. Says right in the police report. Not one drop. That's the first thing I said to Adam Merrill. Not one drop has passed my lips. I've been 4 months sober. I have liver failure and liver disease. I'm not going to drink. Can't drink ever. Right? Blind belief in authority is the greatest enemy of truth. Albert Einstein. I, Bryce Cantrell, record my Fourth Amendment peace till officers bark unlawful orders to detain a reporter for accountability now, Brunswick, Maine. I didn't hurt citizens in custody. Police did. Exposing a crime committed by police is treated like a crime in the town of Brunswick, Maine. I, Bryce Cantrell, did not violate common law. Disorderly conduct is null and void. Freedom of speech. City of Houston versus Hill, where the guy flipped off the cop, was arrested, taken to jail for like 3 hours, booked the whole 9 yards. Disorderly conduct for a city ordinance. Huh, sounds like a similar deal here, huh? State and town, no swearing in the public office, huh? When you call somebody out for lying. Yeah, effing liar. That's what comes out of my mouth every single time I see Scott Stewart or his picture. Yep. Liar. You know? Lie to me. I don't know why Commander Paul had the blue taskbars up on the screen. Oh, well, it's covering the timestamp up. Huh. Here we are, 5 years later, right? And one out of the 3 videos had a fake timestamp, right? Where none of the vehicles were moving anymore. It started right at the diner where they parked. That's where that video started, so that the GPS coordinates didn't have to move, right? That in itself proves the timestamp that they put there is fake, right? It'd be wicked hard to make that timestamp change its numbers to the correct GPS coordinates. We'd have to drive along and record that and then paste it onto the bottom of the picture. Oh, that probably wouldn't work very well, would it? Yeah. So why is it fake? And now, you know, for federal court, it don't have a timestamp. It's back to the original one that I got before the last one. So, yeah, I've gotten that video 3 times now. Fake every single time. Why is there no timestamp? Right? The only reason to not put a timestamp is you edited it. Right? You cut away the shouting match and the gun draw. Removed it. It's gone, right? I swear on a stack of Bibles as God is my witness, right? On and for the record, and let the record show that the words said during the gun draw were by Jolene Anderson Wessel. She said, "Why the F are you arresting him?" As Patrick Scott walked him in handcuffs to the police car, leaving one officer at the back of the vehicle, and the other officer, Andrew Fitzpatrick, was over at my door across the street. One officer standing there. She opens the door. "Why the F are you arresting him?" As he's being walked away in handcuffs. As he's arrested. Right? Right? I got pictures of that stuff too. Then, the lone officer at the back of the vehicle draws his firearm, felony stance, approaches and says, "Get the F back in the truck," at the top of his lungs, yelling as loud as he could. Andrew Fitzpatrick turned his head and watched the whole thing with his eyes as big as dinner saucers, because I was just saying how violent and aggressive everybody here was. Huh. And there it is, happening right in front of us. Right? So she slams the door and goes, "What the F is wrong with you?" is exactly what she said. Screamed it right at him for drawing his firearm and pointing it at her face. Right? Right? What did she say? "I don't want to go to court. These guys will retaliate. They will hurt you. They'll hurt my friends. I don't want to go to court. Even the cops always win." Right? I told them I didn't care. It's what really happened, and they have it on camera, but they won't give it to me. Right? That's exactly what's really happening. Right? Because then their whole house of cards would fall down, right? The wheels would come off the miscarriage of justice, right? Never answered my obstruction of justice complaint for showing me on November 16th, 2020, after the complaint, where I entered the police station with 7 officers when I filed a complaint, including the chief. Right? Yeah. Nobody wants to answer any questions. Nope, nope, nope. Nope, nope, nope. Right? That's my drawing. Right? It's certainly not Patrick Scott with the overhand flashlight, glasses, and hat on. That's not who I drew, is it? See if you're getting that. Right? That's my picture on my complaint. Yep. Here they are running away when you ask any questions. Exemptions for FOIA. Right? Classified national defense and foreign relations information. Interagency personnel rules and practices. Exemption 3. Information that is prohibited from disclosure by another federal law. Right? Exemption 4. Trade secrets and commercial or financial information obtained from a person that is privileged or confidential. Exemption 5, interagency memorandum or letters that are protected by legal privileges. Exemption 6, personnel, medical, financial, and similar files disclosure that would constitute clearly an unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. Certain types of information compiled for the law enforcement purposes. Records that are contained in or related to examining operations, right? right? Where it might change the outcome of a court case. That's stupid, is what they've said, right? Of course, new and unedited information would have changed the outcome of the court case, wouldn't it? Right? So that leaves it open for interpretation, which is, of course, what they always do. Right? And of course, they're going to interpret it their way. Oh, yeah, that'll change the outcome of the case. Yeah. They'd probably get thrown out of court if they knew the truth. Wouldn't want that. You know? Anything that's gathered, right, from an unlawful search where you couldn't get a dog and you made some shit up to get in Jacob and Sierra's car for no purpose other than, you know, they went to the drug dealing on Pleasant Street hotel. Huh. Where you say you know there's a dealer, but you didn't arrest them. I don't understand that. How you do that without showing your hand, so to speak. I think that's the biggest reason that they encrypted the signals, as I was starting to find out how who and how was protecting the people who sell the drugs in town. You know how that is. Anyway, I'd probably get unalived if I actually found out the whole truth, right? I know how you guys operate. It's malicious. All right. Yeah. Here's my 2020 arrest. Right. That's 144.15. 127 was the initial time of the first breath test of 000. After that, they 127, and you can see I'm still crying on the bench in handcuffs at 1:44:15. It was a minute or so later before the cuffs were taken off. Patrick Scott, Brian Funky, and Adam Merrill were all just standing around for 17 minutes, watching me cry on the bench. Hey, this really hurts. My arms are killing me. That's why there's no audio. They don't want to prove that they tortured me in the police station, right? I got it. There's no audio in booking. Huh. Because Christopher Longvic opened the door and he said to all three of them, guys, what are we doing here? It's been way too long. You have to uncuff him. Right? 1:43 a.m. He came in there and said that. And, you know, two minutes later, I was out of handcuffs. I've always said thanks for that. It's about 8 or 10 minutes in handcuffs before he unhandcuffed me after I said to Officer Day that he was performing cruel and unusual punishment, handcuffing me behind my back. I've told them multiple times that, you know, multiple shoulder surgeries and putting my arms behind my back is excruciating, and they don't care. That's part of the torture that happens. I told him that, you know, he was torturing me and he didn't care. There's no need of handcuffing a 60-year-old handicapped man, right, for a misdemeanor, right? At best, that's all he could have gotten me for, right? And the judge knew that under common law, this isn't, you're not even driving. You know, the judge was stammering over it, right? All I had to do was invoke common law, and the whole thing should have been thrown out. But it was thrown out because he didn't identify me properly, right? And how do you? It's that him standing here. It's the guy's face in the picture on the camera. Zoom court is total bull stuff and should not be allowed at all, right? You cannot present video evidence over the phone. The first thing the judge will say, I can't see that and I can't hear it. That's what they did with my headlight out, right? Can't see or hear anything you present to defend yourself in Zoom court. And you can't send it to them like I did last time in a thumb drive. I sent them the whole traffic stop that I got through discovery, through the state, right? Because the federal one, they just ignore my requests for records, answers to my multiple unanswered complaints, 15 now. 15 unanswered complaints. They only answer the ones that they really want to. And then it's always unfounded. Despite having it on camera where officers wouldn't identify and spotlighted me and ran away because they did an unlawful traffic stop, unlawful seizure, unlawful search, and found nothing. Union Street stop, late in 2022, I believe. December something. Yeah, on and on we go. All right, anyway, I could show a couple more things. My 00 breathalyzer again. Jacob and Sierra. This is the Courtney Mickles video. These are some screenshots. It's a little grainy, I know. So the driver was taken out for OUI, did sobriety test, passed, or was borderline, and maybe they said, and then they wanted to identify the passengers because there was window tint. They said, we don't know who you are, and we want to know, and all of this. And they were doing an ID refusal and were ripped out of the truck and beaten and handcuffed. Okay, and they fought all of this. They did record themselves being taken out of the vehicle. I've seen the video. I don't know what happened to that. I have the Courtney video. The most annoying thing was my FOIA requests for that were of Courtney when she went to bail him out at the police station. After being called to the scene, they said that, you know, she was endangering the child by bringing the kid there. You called her to show up there, okay? And they threatened her with all kinds of, we're going to take your kid away and all this other shit. It's total bullshit, right? Courtney was doing everything she was supposed to and recorded them abusing people for failure to ID. Ridiculous. Okay. Fast forward to the police station. This is what I FOIA requested, was a video of her being arrested in the police station in a violent manner, black and blue, both of her wrists. She was there to bail people out. Disorderly conduct arrest for free speech and cursing you out for doing illegal stuff. Huh. Right? That's the horrible rottenness of this whole situation. Right? So I FOIA requested that, and the traffic stop that preceded it, or right afterwards. It pulled over again for the window tint ticket after leaving the police station by the officer who pushed and spit in her face and assaulted her. Unwanted touching is assault. You know, broke her fingernail. It's right in the video. Right? Yeah, you put the camera to these guys and hang on. Right? They want to lay hands on you. Right? For exercising your rights. That's why they're pirates. Right? That's why the courts are all wrong. This video is notice of intent to sue the state. Not that anybody's going to care, but, you know, I'm going to lay into the state of Maine now that I have the complete process all on camera from start to finish, right? DMV, violating my rights, practicing law, and sicking road pirates on me who are unaccountable to arrest me because I signed. They did not inform me that they were going to do that, right? That was their intent, was to get me, my license to be invalid after the temporary one expired, where I wrote 1-308 on it. After that temporary one expired, right, I was going to get arrested. Guaranteed. I bet Brunswick PD would stop me within hours of my license being invalid. What do you guys think? Right? So, that's coercion, right? All on camera. Coerced to enter the contract, it's null and void. Right? Yeah. I'm going to go for the throat. I'm going to go for the throat on the entire state. Right? This whole process, right? I've gone to the top. Janet Mills, the Secretary of State, Shana Bellows, she got a whole packet, 120 pages, everything about what Officer Day did, about him assaulting me the year before, and then, you know, going after my family, the whole 9 yards. It's all retaliation, which is a felony. Multiple felonies committed, right? Lied to take my kid's car, right? You lied. Muffler wasn't dragging. That's what's written right on the ticket. Muffler dragging on the ground. That's a crime. We're going to arrest you for a crime because the muffler's dragging. And guess what? Muffler wasn't dragging at all. Nothing was hanging out from under the car. Huh. Lies, 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 yeah. Right? There they are. The Brunswick Police Review Committee members. Huh. Well, Johnny Eldridge, boy. No, you cannot take pictures of me. Huh. That wouldn't be good. Especially when you can lie to my face. Yeah, police did nothing wrong. Police do nothing wrong. Yeah. Yeah. People beaten and bloodied. No, we don't make an arrest. Those are our friends. Oh, yeah. Here we go. You got racketeering tickets. Right. Yep. Threatening arrest to get secured papers for no crime committed. Fourth Amendment violation. Racketeering. Defect card or warning was reasonable. I requested to fix. Take care of the ticket. Paige Michaud threatened violent arrest if I didn't enter contract. Threatened by armed men and women at my window if I didn't enter a contract. Coercion against rights on camera, right? 2022, February, I was stopped for registration out for 3 months. Backup officer Adam Merrill put his hand on his firearm and came to my passenger window. He didn't draw it, but you can see it in the reflected mirror image. He's got his hand on his firearm to look into my car for a fee that was late, right? Right? Arrested, not allowed to go anywhere. Temporary detainment, no matter how brief, is still an arrest because you can't leave, right? What happens if you leave? Oh, he's got his hand on his gun. If I drove away right then, what would have happened? Oh, we all know exactly what would happen, wouldn't we? Yep, there'd have been a little blip on the news. Yep, we shot him 6 times. That son of a beat had just forgotten to pay his registration for 3 months. Ooh. Is that a crime? Was there a crime there for him to have put his hand on his firearm to threaten a citizen? Nope. Right. Yep. Flashlight. My many FOIA requests. All of this is in my thumb drives of my phone, sent to the court. All of this evidence. Right? I am not the problem. I record lawfully the police work I see. It isn't my actions that violate, it's the officers, writing their own policies, codes, and statutes. Failure to identify is why I need to approach to 10 feet to identify officers hiding their identity while committing crimes. And that's why certain officers yell orders detaining me for filming, orders me back 60 feet, unreasonable distance, can't see or hear conversation. I didn't start recording police because police told the truth. I record because they lied, falsified reports, and denied FOIA. Denied FOIA is why I started full-time recording after they refused forensic authentication of the October 7th video evidence. You can see these are all copied. That there's some video. This one, my daughter is a witness to this one, where they couldn't get a dog and refused to search. These guys also sued. These guys were put in handcuffs. This was early 2023, right after, I believe that's Jared Verrill, who was doing an unlawful search here. They searched the people, the vehicle, couldn't get a dog, tested substances from the floor and all kinds of stuff. They didn't find squat. Ripped them out of their vehicle. They were doing a search refusal, and of course, police just ignored that and went in and got them both out and put them in handcuffs. I think I don't have that video anymore. One of the gone ones. This is my one and only email to Officer Day. I had good interactions with you till you refused to identify like a professional on Main Street. I am the press. Emergency was a crash on the closed ramp. Denied access to get photographs and video. I created no victim. No citizens were aware of my presence. I never stepped on the pavement. No vehicle swerved to avoid a pedestrian. No victim, no crime. I removed myself from the grass as instructed. You or your Wongviks said my name on the scanner. I retreated to my truck. They said, Bryce, get off the highway. And I think it was Officer Day. I might have a recording of that somewhere. Right. Typically that's all police do to you, is remove you from the area. He was angry and retaliated for not identifying on Main Street. Yes, I know who you are. It's about the TV audience. That was wide open public. What's his name? Miller. Yeah. Well, anyway, at 7-Eleven, failure to identify. It was right in front of a whole pile of people, you know. You should have shined one on and identified. Right? All right. I'm out.